Okay, so typically I have a script that I go off of, and what usually happens is I wind up doing a lot of ums and ohs, and so I'm just going to try to wing it today and go off script, and I'm hopeful that it'll be smoother and more flawless. As you know, there's a lot of crap going on in our nation today, and what I'd like to call it is the wild, wild left out there. I mean, anywhere from the people to the media, all the way to the White House. It seems like everyone has lost their objectivity. And at first I thought, well, maybe it's me, but you know what? It's not. I have been the most objective person I know. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. Since I've been in high school, graduated college, it has been my education, my life's work. I've been trained by the best, a company called Service Master. But before I get into that, I want to tell you a short story. A while back, and this was before the last year, before all of this materialized to get to the point where we are now, I was watching a show with my grandson called Law and Order, and I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that have watched this show, and it is set in New York City, and that's where I'm from, where I was born and raised, and so I like the show, and my grandson likes it too. He likes crime shows just like I do. So we're sitting there watching it, and one of the characters in the show is Greenie, and he is a black detective, and I really like Greenie. And he had a suspect in custody who was a young black male, and he was from the hood, and he had that accent, I guess you could call it, the hood accent, and the way he was speaking, the way he was talking, my grandson was like, oh, Grandpa, why is he talking like that? And I said, well, he's from the hood. That's the way they all talk. And I didn't think anything of it. And my grandson was just perplexed by it. And I said, well, don't you know anyone that speaks like that? And he said, no, I don't know anyone like that. And for a moment there, I thought, wow, my grandson can conceivably grow up in a world, in a country where this does not exist. And I was impressed by that. I really was. But real life doesn't happen like that. It could, but I don't know if it will. So back to my video and where we are today as a country, and really can we get back to where we were? Because I think this whole racism, this whole divide that's happening in our country is really man-made. It's really not there. I mean, I could tell you, I was born in 1960 in New York City, in Astoria, Queens. And in the 70s was my coming of age decade. In the 70s in New York City was a very tough decade. I grew up in a very tough area. I've seen a lot of deaths. I was from a broken home. My father was an alcoholic, abusive father. Me and my brothers went through really tough times. My mother, God rest her soul, she was a tough Italian woman. My father was an Irish alcoholic. And I'm not going to get into all those stories, but we grew up on the streets. And I could tell you that I was a street kid. And was I a victim of discrimination? Absolutely, in many ways. One, because of my height. I was 5'4", and let me tell you something. I was shut out from jobs, opportunities, many things. One, because of my height. And I also worked in a place called Crown Heights, Brooklyn in the 80s. Predominantly black, actually all black. And people there hated me, absolutely hated me because I was white. No question about it. And I'm not saying that because of what's going on today. It was a fact of life. Whether because I was the boss, because I was white, because I was both. But that's just the way it was. And I accepted it. But I worked for a company called Service Master, and their mission statements were, honor God in all you do. And at first I didn't buy into it. But as I got older, I did. They were absolutely right. Honor God in all you do. And they also believed that to win people over, no matter how they treated you, you kill them with kindness. No matter what. Be kind to them. And be fair. As a manager, you had to be fair. You cannot put your emotions in it. And that's what I did. I was absolutely fair to everybody. And after a couple of years, people saw that. They didn't see me. There was obviously some people that was still racist towards me, but they knew I was a fair person. And I absolutely won people over. So putting that aside for a moment, I'm going to tell you about where I see our country right now. I see three women. One is in the White House, our Vice President, Kamala Harris, who has been on TV, has been taped, recorded, saying this while the riots were occurring and the cities were burning across our country. She was encouraging this violence. And this had nothing to do with what happened at the Capitol building. This was the year-long battle in all the American cities as it went. She condoned it, and she said on TV that she doesn't think that it will stop, and she doesn't think it should stop. And if you doubt me, you can see her saying this on TV. As I said, it was recorded. You can see it on Sean Hannity's show. It was aired January 19th or 20th. But if you have Comcast or any other cable news outlet, or he probably has it on his YouTube channel. But it's there. You can go there and see it. I am not BSing you. It's there. Another person, and I'll have to read this because I don't have it memorized, is the woman Porter, who was just, and I apologize, I don't know if this is a woman. Yes, it is a woman. On her 2016 Facebook post, she is the deputy spokesperson for the U.S. State Department under Biden and self-proclaimed cop hater. And she posted, and I'm paraphrasing this, the biggest threat to U.S. national security is U.S. cops because of genocide to Black Americans. This is a woman, one of the top politicians in our country today. I mean, does she know that that police killed more white people than black people in 2019? She posted this in 2016, so I don't know about the year 2015. But leading up to the 2020 election, during all those riots with Antifa and Black Lives Matter, before George Floyd, when she posted this was before George Floyd, but when George Floyd happened, more white people were killed by police than black people. So I think it's important to get these facts out because people just don't know. As I said, we have lost our objectivity as a people, as a country, and as journalists. Do you know what the 5 most important questions a journalist needs to answer? And this I covered in one of my other videos. They need to answer these questions: who, what, when, why, and where. After every question they ask, if that question is answered, they need to go back to those 5 questions again because they need to get to the truth. And if you see AOC's interview with, what's his name, Anderson Cooper on CNN, it's ridiculous. It's like a 6th grader is doing that interview. He gives that, silly, pensive look. He goes, And we're supposed to buy into that like, oh yeah, that's thought-provoking, that's true. And he asks 2 questions of her, maybe 3, and he doesn't drill down. And that I'm sure you can find online as well. He doesn't drill down to find out. He asks her, do you think President Trump's a racist? Yes, I do. Why do you think he's a racist? Because of the words he chooses. Well, what's the next logical question to ask? Maybe, I don't know, where did you hear these words? What words did he choose? Those kind of questions. If those are answered, you ask additional questions. Were you there? Did you witness those words being used yourself, or did somebody tell you? I mean, you don't even ask any of those questions. Look at the interview. Judge for yourself. I mean, we can't take anybody's word for it after 2 or 3 questions. You have to get to the bottom of these things yourself. A good way to judge this is replace that question with another question and then see if that really gets you the answers. Like maybe ask him in your own mind, say, did you kill Jimmy Hoffa? And see if her answers will get you to the real answer to that question. If they don't, then they don't get you to the answer, is he a racist? Because the correct number of questions will lead you to the truth in either scenario. So, that's my point. You have to drill down. So I want to talk to you about 2 other things real quickly. One is we now have a vice president who has given us permission to burn down our own cities when we disagree with something. We now also have this self-proclaimed cop hater. And then we have one other woman, and I can't remember where I wrote her name down. But I wanted to say, it's funny how during all this, everybody seems to forget about the knockout game, Do you remember that a few years back when all these young black men were knocking out older white people and even pregnant women? They were running around in packs and just knocking them out. I remember a pregnant woman being knocked out cold. I think she went into a coma or something. And whatever happened to those kids? Were they persecuted? Prosecuted, I mean? I don't know. They should have been persecuted, actually. And then all of a sudden, nothing ever was talked about that or discussed or nothing. Just seemed to disappear. But nothing, no public outcry about that crap. No, just sweep it under the rug. So that's the society we live in. You want to play fair? You want to play by the rules? Let's bring all the crap to the surface. Let's bring all the garbage out. Okay? Because as far as I'm concerned, once we got past the year 2000, there was very little racism going on, very little discrimination. But now the left wants to bring it out because why? They wanted to do everything in their power, bring out all the things they can to win this election. And they won it. So the game is over. So why keep going? What's the purpose of it? To pulverize the enemy. That's what it is. And I'm going to tell you something else. You keep going like this, things are going to get worse. See, the bottom line is, it's not even all about the election. This is about really taking God out of the country. And we really need God in the country. And really, he's in control. See, they want to bring China in. Now, I don't know how much of the country China owns. I know at one time England was the #1 landowner in this country. But I know that, China had spies in the Democratic Party. We all know that. We know that China owns a big deal of land in this country. I don't know how much, but you can look it up and see. We know that China owns a majority of the Wall Street Journal and also the New York Times. You think that's a BS? Look that up too, okay? There is a lot of motivations here, and there's a lot of ulterior motives. So what I'm saying is, if there are Democrats that are waffling, that are on the fence, please look into some of these allegations on your own. Now, after this video, I'm going to be presenting a call to action. There's going to be a game plan now, how we fight back. So stay tuned. That's going to be next.